of course, SK Gaming playing from top to bottom as a wild Joe Miller strolls on past my camera.
So in terms of the champions that we've locked in, I just want to quickly touch. Shen was the #1 most picked, most banned champion of the spring split at 77%, and Jarvan is the third best most victorious champion, winning 67% of their games. So you've got this clear fight back and forth between the super popular champions and another defensive start like we've seen from Fnatic and Gambit.
Yeah, nobody really wants to lose the first game. And if you cast your mind back to the spring split start as well, it was very similar. The first week was very tense because nobody wants to go 0-5. That is for damn sure.
Or 0-9.
They will all be playing 5 matches this weekend, and there's a lot of action that you could go. To get a 5-0 start would be a dream for any of these teams, and that's what they're all looking forward to. As it stands, though, it is going to be simply playing mobile wards, everybody standing in defensive positions, nobody going for any late invades.
In terms of the bottom lanes that we can see setting up right now, Makler and Libic getting some vision down, almost getting that ward. If Libic gets a good death sentence onto either Janna or Caitlyn, they have very, very good kill potential at low level. Varus is going to have that percentage HP, the damage from Flay once Libic eventually gets it. It hits really, really hard. What you're going to see from SK is these moments of poke where Candy Pan is going to charge up those headshots. He's going to get the Eye of the Storm, that bonus attack damage, land the headshot bonus, and then back away, using that range to just poke and poke and poke.
And no pressure to Libic, but the last Thresh that I cast was Mad Life. I'm just saying, he was pretty good. We'll see how those Flays work out for him, because Jarvan could theoretically come sliding in and get flayed straight back.
Yeah, we've seen that out of players like Mad Life and the Thresh Prince when Edward was still here. At the moment though, just this very slow start. Red buff picked up by Hercubot. He had a lot of support there from Kevin's Elise. He's going to get up into that top lane, and you've got this top lane of AP versus AP, where both have fairly good low-level base numbers, but Elise should win until Cubone starts stacking some mana with that tier.
You can see Candy Pan putting the pressure down. Libic's trying to get some damage down on him, but Makler is going to continue poking out with that Q. The
Varus's Q is the piercing arrow.
Yeah, get the exact. See, I'm alongside you now. I can easily just refer to.
I know, but I'm scared because you put me on the spot and then I panic. And I was like, oh, Q. The moment though, Libic, he's still waiting for that level 2. He needs a couple more CS. If they get this, he wants to go aggressive, and you've seen his position. He was poising. He was like, I want to go. But Makler just wasn't clearing that wave quickly enough, and Candy Panda, with some good poke damage, is actually controlling Makler and Libic.
Well, we do see him getting caught out. He does get quickly dashes away with the 90 caliber net. There's no way he's going to get caught out that easily, that soon. There's just simply not enough burst damage. Let's take a look in that mid lane. Of course, it is going to be Sharu on Ari versus Ocelot. Ocelot being a little bit of a lane bully there. You can see he's trying to keep him back, but quickly those balls coming out from Sharu. It's going to keep him, and it's a battle of the balls in the mid lane.
Now we'll see whose is stronger. Right now though, Hercubot, he snuck his way up into this top lane. Cubone still has his flash and that rune prison, so he can hold one threat in place, but Mokata is well aware of it, and this is something we see out of LCS junglers, is this gank and counter gank, where they sort of go, I think they're going to go here, I think they have the ability to apply pressure, and they're there to react. This mid lane Ocelot has a strong advantage thanks to Orianna's passive, those clockwork wind-up. It's an additional magic damage with each auto attack. And if Charu actually stands toe-to-toe, flinging balls of fire against those little gears or whatever Orianna throws, he's going to come off worse for wear.
Oh, meanwhile, this bottom lane is staying very even between them. 21-22, the Piltover Peacemaker just catching Makler again there, but easily just life-stealing that back with that Doran's Blade. Ever so slowly, of course, by the way. It'll take a while these days with that Doran's Blade, but let's be the standard start that they go for and keep an eye across the mini-map. Not a great deal of action. We do see, it looks like Cubone coming back to lane, but he's taking a bit of a wild route, so I'm guessing he's going to try and place that ward down the river, which may or may not catch out Hercubot, because you can see it's already in position waiting.
Yeah, and also in terms of timing, this ward that he's going to put down, it's going to cover the entry to the blue buff when it respawns. I actually think Cubone is delaying on purpose, because I believe he wants to get that ward down. It'll last the 3 minutes, and it'll cover the time frame for that blue buff respawning, allowing them to react if Hercubot does try to set up some sort of pressure or some sort of gank. So I think it's intelligent play. Once again, we do have a very brief pause.
Yeah, it's Meteor Makers with the pause at the moment. I can see it doesn't look like SK. They're all sat quite happily waiting. They're talking, although they shouldn't be doing that.
Not allowed to talk about the game.
Shouldn't be talking about the game.
Not allowed to talk about the game.
We'll see whether The admins are beyond the ball there, don't worry.
They're paying attention. Sharp ears and sharp eyes. Apparently, it is a PC issue, is what MYM are saying. So we should have that resolved fairly shortly.
So what are we seeing so far from the game? I mean, this is obviously very even, very early stages. We're at 5-minute mark, no real pressures. We're not in the days where you used to see the crazy 3-minute tower dives.
Yeah.
It's actually very even across the board. And who wants to be pushing the early game here?
SK. I think SK need to be pushing the early game because of just how much the MYM team is going to scale. Candy Panda will always outrange Varus, but the power that Varus's ultimate, his percentage HP damage will offer in team fights will always be more powerful than Caitlyn in the late game. So the longer this game goes, the more difficult it is for SK to overcome these very strong, very powerful champions that their opponents have.
So we're just waiting for things to get underway. If you have just joined us, well, we are under a small pause right now. It is Meteor Makers versus SK Gaming. 5 minutes in, of course, we've just had Fnatic taking down Gambit in their first game of the season. Will it be the first of many? I did just ask Enrated, are we going to go 28-0 this season? He's like, nah, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to commit to that one.
Too early. We'll
see
how the rest of the weekend goes, and if they get a few more victories, I'm pretty sure Enrated might be a little more confident to go on the record with some prediction scores. But all of these teams want to get off to that good start, because we talk about the Copenhagen Wolves from the previous split, who are now Ninjas in Pajamas. They had a very bad start. They were 0 for 9, and then they went 13 for 6, which is a fantastic win-loss record after they started winning games.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get going, of course. Remember, this is for a place in the World Finals. So the summer split will be leading up to that, and the dates are out there, actually. I'm not going to tell you the exact dates, because it's kind of like this block is where the World Finals is.
It's a pretty big block. It's a pretty big block. But that full schedule, it is on LoL Esports, so you can actually start planning your trips and looking at flights and things like that, because World Finals is going to be amazing.
We are back underway, though, ladies and gentlemen, and we do see Hercubot in that top lane is going to back away, so no action will be happening there, unfortunately, and it is back down to this mid lane, and you can see Sharu throwing out those balls. It's going to start getting aggressive. It's going to be very quick when the action happens there, because that Shockwave, the charm, they're all going to be going down at the same time.
Yeah, the thing we need to watch about that is Charu, of course, with teleport and not ignite, means he needs to land absolutely everything on Ocelot when Ocelot is alone. No minions can soak up any of that additional damage because of the shield that Orianna's going to be able to put on herself, keep himself alive. We have another very brief pause. D-Man, I think you're bringing some bad luck with you.
It's always me. It's always me. Sorry, guys. Sorry. It is always a game I cast. The pauses do happen.
I'm trying to remember the All-Star games. There was a few pauses in and amongst there as well, but there were not too many.
No, you can't bring that one on me.
I'm just trying to see if we can really...
I didn't have a pause in any All-Star games. I think you're fine. I was perfectly... I only did 2 games.
I'm just trying to pin it on you. That's all. That's all.
No, we had no problems. You can see it's Kubon actually at the end there, just for the computer issue. The Meteor Makers team just, of course, right straight on the case.
Yeah, basically we just want to get this as optimal for the players as possible. You can't be playing on a PC that's...
Oh, it's a PC swap. This is going to be a long one, guys.
If you do have some lag issues or graphical bugs or things like that, this is the equipment. This is the tools of the trade. If you have a faulty engine in a race car, you swap it out. You
swap it out. What I want to do is remind you guys of last season, because there's a lot of people that may be here that may not have seen everything that did happen in the spring split. So let's give you a quick rundown of exactly how it worked out. Of course, we did have the playoffs, but more importantly, the league positions. What led up to it?
First and foremost, Fnatic 22 for 6 going into the playoffs. We're going to ignore the playoffs for now. That's a win percentage, 79% of the games. One of the things that's very interesting about the top 5, I've got all the numbers written down here.
It's got it all on a bit of paper right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Just for a moment like this. All of the top teams average between 1.5 or 1.6 thousand gold per minute as a team aggregate. Everybody below the top 5 was around 1.2 to 1.3. Just based on mechanical skill alone, when you look at teams from the previous split, it's a really, really interesting thing to note. Just
but how is that gold built? I mean, I think statistically it was something like the first tower that goes down. Jason will be better with this one, because he's been working hard on some sort of database. It's something ridiculous with a percentage that the person that gets the first kill, like Gambit, if they get a first blood, they generally go on and win the game like 70% of the time. There's all sorts of crazy stats he's working on that I think we're going to start seeing coming out over the season.
Well, and basically the more games we have, the more wealth of data we can pull from. And talking about Gambit, they went 21-7. They lost only 1 game more than Fnatic. But interestingly, they were the ones that beat Fnatic throughout the split. They beat them 3-1 over the course of their 4 games, but then lost in a best-of-5 extended series. So it shows you just how close the upper echelons of the scene really are here in Europe.
Yeah, and of course, SK Gaming, they didn't have an amazing start. They kind of worked their way through, but they kind of snuck through. I mean, they ended up with 17 and 11. Not a bad record.
So I was looking at SK Gaming stats, and I was looking at the games and the history coming into this, the summer split. And the thing that SK did, every team below them, they beat consistently. I think, there's some strong words from Deficio from Ninjas Pajamas who said, summer split, like, we want SK. Because they went down 4, they lost all 4 games to SK. They just couldn't find a way to beat SK Gaming. And this is what kept SK in that top 4, kept them in that 3rd position for so long. The ability to defeat teams like Against All Authority, Giants, Dragonborns. But they faltered when they came up against the number 1s and 2s of Fnatic and Gambit.
Yeah, and you look at Copenhagen Wolves, the fact that they did go that 13-6, they ended 13-15. If they can start off well this time, they are now known as Ninjas in Pajamas. In case you missed it, they did transfer organizations, so NIP have themselves a presence. They're not just the Counter-Strike legends, they are now League of Legends, very popular team.
Yeah,
honestly.
very, very true.
It's funny, it's a funny story for them, because when they went 0-9, everyone kind of got behind them.
Yes.
Even the players were like, we really want them to win a game now. We're starting to feel sorry for them.
I still remember Nono's face, because it was Against All Authority.
Happy.
Against All Authority gave them their first victory. This was the Wolves, and it had the pentakill from Syndra, and Nono was there was just so much emotion. I do want to point out one thing though, because there is something that everybody seems to forget. Bjergsen joined the team, and his first 3 games with the team,
they did lose.
They lost.
They lost.
So they were actually 0 for 6.
It wasn't an instant turnaround.
Correct. They were 0 for 6 when Bjergsen joined. They lost 3 games that weekend. They were then 0 for 9, and that's when it turned around. It just seemed that he needed that extra week. He needed games on the stage under the lights to settle and find his groove. And boy, when he found it, did he hit it hard.
Everybody making mad dash to get food quickly before the pause continues. As you can see here, that is the stage setup we have, and there is the glorious DreamHack in the background. You can see the banks of computers back there.
This is 1 hall of 4, I believe.
Yeah.
So what you're looking at is about a third of 1 hall, and there's 4 of them.
Well, to give you the numbers, there's 25,000 tickets sold for this event. There's 10,000 people with PCs alone, which is a lot of computers there.
It's
a lot of power involved in that.
There's a lot of bandwidth involved in that as well.
A lot of bandwidth. There's a lot of onesies as well.
I must admit, I'm not quite sure where the Swedish attraction to the onesie comes from, but there is a lot of them, and it's not only DreamHack, it's a number of Swedish organizations and things that like those onesies.
The boss man himself is wearing one this weekend as well.
It's true, but I still don't get it. Yeah. Not my thing. Ninjas in pajamas.
They're comfy. Hey, you're a big fan of the comfy pants. So.
Don't bring up the comfy pants. One time I wear comfy pants. One time. So guys, we do apologize about this. The game is still being delayed, as D-Man pointed out. It is a PC swap out for Cubon, so hopefully we can get that resolved quickly. I can see the rioters working fervently over there.
Working on the machines, and then these things happen. This is the one issue with esports. It's not like we're playing football. We can't just change the ball out so quickly. The problem with esports is you're kind of reliant on that PC working, and they just swap it out, no problem. Get the
technical problems are a little bit more difficult than my studs are broken or my shoelaces are untied.
I need new boot. Okay, that's nice. You best go get some heads on.
Some of the interesting stats that I've also just got written down here. First of all, highest KDAs. Hercubot had the number 1 KDA out of all of Europe last splits, 7.5 average kills, deaths, and assists. And I know the last weekend or 2, he was averaging like 18 to 20. It's not quite Helios level as far as North America. I believe he's on 42 after their first week. But, number 1 KDA leader for Europe is in the game right now.
You can see the stage setup. Everybody's sat ready and waiting. The players are sat ready and waiting as well, to be fair. SK Gaming are all sat and staying relatively calm. I can see lots of mouse clicking going on. So they must be doing some sort of out of game.
I believe that we are potentially live again, and it's just a matter of the spectator catching up with the actual game. So we will be finding that out very, very shortly. It looks like a couple of readies are coming back in. So to remind everybody, it is of course SK Gaming versus Meet Your Makers. We are back into game number 2 of the LCS. Put your hands together.
So here we go. 5.5 minutes gone. And a very close, even game. My word. I thought it was going to be a Vuvuzela.
Was that a Vuvuzela? Ooh, air horn of Vuvuzela. Yeah. The song of my people. Whoever you are awesome.
The song of my people. Good Lord. Next thing, the Lion King will be on. So as it stands, Candy Panda's getting caught out with that hail of arrows down that bottom lane. Mackler just putting the pressure down, and Trevor's lost it.
No, I'm finished. You see the death hit. It's called Candy Panda.
It is going to get down. The play comes out as well. The damage going down on towards Candy Panda. They keep it up. They do manage to catch him as well. Very nicely done, and Candy Panda taking a lot of damage quickly from Mackler there.
Great control from Livic and Mackler. It was actually like slow-paced fighting. They were just landing each and every consecutive auto attack. At the moment, Candy Panda is forced very, very low. He did take Cleanse instead of Barrier as his summoner spell, so if he does get caught up by that Ignite or by some CC, that Cleanse will obviously help him run away, but at this low HP, it's not going to save his life. So, wisely, Candy Panda backs off.
Howling Gale does go out, and he is, of course, going to get Hercubot to come and defend him. Everybody's going to back away. It's a double Doran's Blade being picked up along with those boots for Candy Panda. We'll see whether Mackler's going to do just the same. No, he's going straight for the pickaxe, straight aggression, and a second Doran's Blade, not bothering with the boots this time on Varus.
So he's going to be relying on the fact that Thresh can set him up to pick up kills, and that's basically his gambit. Janna is not necessarily the most aggressive of supports. Janna's not really going to put you as an AD carry in a position where you can get caught out if you position and farm safely. And that's all Mackler's saying. He's like, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not worried about your Howling Gales or your slows from that Zephyr, so I'm just going to try fight as hard as I can.
Interesting choice between Sharu and Ocelot as well. Ocelot comes back with the Chalice going towards that Athene's and Holy Grail. Technically, Athene's and Holy Grail could also come out from Sharu. He went for the Codex instead on the Doran's Ring, get that little bit of hit points, along with the hit points that Ocelot picked up with the Ruby Crystal.
So basically, when we look at builds like that, I would actually expect that Fiendish Codex to become a Deathfire Grasp for Ahri, and the reason for that, Ahri with blue buff and maybe 1 or 2 Doran's Rings is actually sufficient mana regen. She doesn't spam quite as much as an Orianna does, which is why Orianna needs that Chalice, because you're going to be doing command attack, command attack, command attack, and burning through that mana pool very, very quickly.
Making sure he collects all of the gold. In terms of gold, they are on 66 CS apiece. We do see wards being placed out from Sharu in the river. Blue buff, of course, is going to get picked up by Ocelot with the assistance of Hercubot. I expect the exact same to be done for Sharu very soon.
Yeah, at the moment, it's just this the exact same thing that we've seen from the previous game, where Fnatic and Gambit played it very slowly, very passively. Here, SK and MYM, they're looking for opportunities, but they're not trying to force them, unless somebody really, really obviously oversteps their safety or their bounds, then there's no big engagements. Mackler and Livic trading back and forth. Candy Panda actually picking a fight, and 90 calibers to safety. Yeah,
90 caliber backed away. And he is just keeping the pressure onto Livic, wants to stop him getting those souls, but I don't think it's going to work out too well. Candy Panda continues to keep the poke down. Still very even CS between those two as well. And the top lane, it's even across the board. And who does this benefit the most of? The fact that they are, we talked about the fact that Meteor Makers are a stronger late game team. We are only 10 minutes gone coming into this game, so we're nowhere near that stage just yet. But SK not really putting the pressure on that they need.
So the one thing that MYM are severely lacking in their composition is a very clear initiation tool. Outside of Thresh throwing himself at the enemy with a death sentence, or Ahri catching somebody with a charm, they don't have a Jarvan that can, cataclysm in with an Orianna ball. So picking fights is always going to be in SK's favor. And even though their team may not scale quite as well, if they pick the right fights at the right time, they can win them based out of the burst damage that can be put down from a full combo of the SK team.
We'll see what happens in this bottom lane, because SK Gaming, they do look like they're... Hello, blue screen. Well, we can still see what's going on, luckily, so as it stands, I think we should be fine. Hopefully we'll be switching to another screen at the moment. Don't worry, guys, we can see our screens fine.
So at the moment, if production wants to jump on, we can, of course, follow the action. And it's being looked at here, Candy Panda and Hercubot sneaking around on that bottom lane.
Is that you or me? That's me.
That's me. You who's going to be driving.
Oh, Jesus.
Livic,
back to do my camera. Chain of Corruption does land straight away. They jump on towards him. The Monsoon comes out from Nif. It is going to be enough to keep him away, and I'm going to have to turn Auto Director off. And oh my God, the scroll button's on the wrong key. This is going to be a disaster, guys. I've got to do the camera.
If production are on the same page, you can, of course, jump over to my camera, which I have configured and looked at. In the middle lane, Ocelot forced out of lane. He's been pushed backwards. No ignite means that, unfortunately, there can be no kill for Charu.
Since they're paused it, I'm going to change. Oh, no, it's the scrolly bug.
Brief pause. We have had a very brief pause, so I don't know if this is for our benefit or for the players. But Blue Screen of Death making its LCS debut.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, I can legitimately say I have not. That is a first for me.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Ooh, strong words. Strong words. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one. So we do have the game unpausing very, very quickly. It was an MYM pause, so we'll see exactly who is going to be jumping back into this. Ocelot still has not recalled, and it does look like the Spectator PC is back up and running. So
yeah,
we'll see how this goes. Bottom lane, MYM put a little bit of damage into their bottom lane tower, but forced backwards. The first Stand United of the game was used in that bottom lane, but it amounted to nothing. They were not able to lock down members of SK, and it does mean that that ability is on cooldown now.
I'm not sure if that's not me.
No,
Right.
it's not you. It's not you.
It's not. It's a different PC. That's all it is. Good. We have very big names on this one as well. You can't miss what name they are, really.
So
Candy Panda going head to head with Makta there, using that shield, of course, from Nif. Very low on mana himself. So let's have a look. You can see that Ocelot's gone back. He's got the Catalyst to Protector now. He's backed himself off. He's kept up with the CS. Looks like the Wraith's actually going to be picked up by Shari, so he needed that little bit of extra gold there. Kubon helping him out. So still no deaths. We do see Hercubot waiting in the wings though.
And he does have his ultimate on cooldown, so even if he jumped in, he would need to land a perfect EQ combo, get that knock up in the air, because there would be no more CC to, lock them in place. Makla is going to hold strong, and he gets out. That was very close. That was very
close indeed. But Candy Panda's going to keep on. He's free farming. We do see that Max has gone back. Actually picks up a pink ward. Now, if you remember back, cast your mind way back to WCG 2011. Pink wards were really won out by Meet Your Makers. So this dragon is getting picked up by SK Gaming. Nobody can see it at all, but it's something that they went for all the time. It was the pink wards. They were kind of the champions of it. Instead of using oracles, they used to use pink wards everywhere.
I'm actually going to say you can go even further back, and if I remember back to the Go For LOL days where you and Joe were casting the EU Nordic and East matches, MYM just littered the map with pink wards, no matter who they were playing, no matter what composition. Much like Charu permanently using teleport, it's just something that the team was renowned for, and it obviously pays dividends. It allows you to clear out vision, allows you to control the site. And we do see Charu, as we're looking at him, he has got that needlessly large rod, so he's going for that DFG first, as opposed to something like that at the end.
See, that's what he builds into. Top lane, of course, is Rise as well, so he's going for the standard build. He's got the Tear of the Goddess and the Catalyst, the Protector. Kevin, meanwhile, went for the Haunting Guys and starting to build up that magic pen that you do get on Elise. We do see the Negatron's Cloak also just being picked up by Kubon there, just getting that little bit of defense.
That's an important pickup there, actually, for Kubon, because that of the way Rise is going to scale and build and get that mana, get the resistances. Kevin's not actually going to have enough damage to get through all of the resistances and HP that Kubon's Rise is going to have. Plus, when Kubon hits his ultimate and gets that spell vamp, he's just going to clear out those waves and sustain much more effectively than Elise will.
So, down the bottom lane, they return. A BF sword picked up this time by Candy Panda still, so he's going to have that damage advantage over Makta. The pink ward also put down in towards them. Didn't want to see Libic sneaking his way into them bushes, throwing out those hooks. Meanwhile, they have the pink ward battle continues, and Libic will take down a ward of his own.
That's a big damage difference as well. The fact that Candy Panda has the BF sword first, in addition to the Janna, who's probably going to have 3 or 4 levels into her E, which is going to be another big, massive chunk of auto attack damage. The only thing is, it's all on Candy Panda. Candy Panda has to do the poke, the control, get the 90 caliber net. So there's not really kill potential from that Janna Caitlyn combination, and it's basically what you're seeing in these fights. He's just farming it up as safely as he can, trying to get to a point where Jarvan and Elise can jump in for a fight and Candy Panda can just clean up with his damage from behind.
We haven't really made use of the teleport yet either. We'll see whether Shari does suddenly start making the moves. Of course, the Dragon was picked up by SK Gaming, so that does mean that they have that 1,000 gold advantage. Tower's not really being pushed across the board. Nobody's making aggressive moves on the towers. Nobody's stacking up, trying to go for it. We do see once again Hercubot coming down the bottom, but he's passed by straight towards, so they know that he's there. They know they have to be ready and waiting defensively, and that's why you see Makata sat just waiting in the wings.
Yeah, so it does look like we will be jumping to another spectator position quickly, and we'll see how well Makata is going to be able to counter this gank, because at the moment he is sitting in a position about to butt heads with Hercubot. We will pull up hopefully my computer screen in a moment. I'm not having any issues right now, and I can of course drive this one, so we'll see how well this works. At the moment the game is still continuing on. There is no fights, no engagements, and Meet Your Makers are basically just farming this out as passively as possible.
Yeah, hopefully they will switch the screens back in a moment and just As you can see, the producer just sprints past, so it's kind of like, it's all going wrong. Well, it's good that you can see us, guys, because we can keep you up to date with what exactly is happening, even if it does surprise me. Here we go again. We're back on the screen. It is yours.
We'll see if this is actually mine. I am not.
No, it's not.
It
doesn't matter. It's APC.
So we'll see how it works. It is currently on directed camera, and that will, of course, then drive it. At the moment, again, no ganks, no fights, 800 gold difference. Cubon is battling with Kevin in the top lane. They trade back and forth a little bit, but overall, nothing too dramatic. And basically, it's just a farm fest. There's nothing else to analyze.
Yeah, it is a 15-minute farm fest so far, guys. As you'd expected, but the middle turret has gone down finally. So the first turret of the game, it's Sharu that kept the pressure on there. So Ocelot has managed to lose his middle turret. He has got himself a Rod of Ages, though, along with that Deathfire Grasp that he said Sharu was going towards. We'll see whether they do actually start fighting soon, though.
Now, that's something that is going to play into Ari's favor because he does not have that Ignite to pick up any kills for Orianna. He's going to be relying on the burst from the DFG to initially chunk him down and then follow it up with the rest of the magic damage. With that middle tower down, Ocelot's going to be under more pressure to farm defensively and keep himself safe. And you can see him, he's picking up the Wraith camp.
Down the bottom lane, they're going defensive, and it is going to be the first kill picked up. Sharu goes in there. Meanwhile, the top lane, they're also diving in towards it. It's going to be Nif getting caught out, though. Sharu should pick that one up. Mackler's the one that takes it. So that is 2 kills straight away for Meet Your Makers.
It's not over because there was a fight in the top lane. They traded damage back and forth. Mokata used his stand united, and you can see that both Kevin and Hercubot have been pushed backwards. So with those kills and the gold advantage of the tower, MYM are pulling slightly ahead. Kevin is going to be hard pressed to defend this lane, but in fact, MYM decide to back away and not fight. In the bottom lane, they pick up a tower.
That's the second turret of the game, and that does push Meet Your Makers with a 2,000 gold advantage now, despite the fact SK Gaming did pick up that first dragon. So we see them all backing off. Infinity Edge slowly getting built up by Mackler. He's almost completed that major item. Meanwhile, Candy Panda also pushing towards the same thing. He's a little bit further behind in the build.
Now we'll see whether or not this composition of SK can handle the pressure that MYM can apply. You're talking about how the teleport had not been used, and within a minute or two, Charu joins the fight in the bottom lane once that DFG was completed, and he picks up, the first blood, followed up with the second kill. It is on cooldown, will be for a couple more minutes, but once it's available again, the fact that those towers are down in both middle and bottom lane means SK are at threat of being caught out because they have to overextend further into, non-safe areas.
And actually, if you look at Makatu, he didn't upgrade past the claw, the Matrix, and instead he's going rushing straight away for that Rooney Bulwark, and it's something that Hercubot has not done. Hercubot's been looking for those kills, but it's just not been working out, whereas Makatu already is in that team stance, that team help to come straight in there, and I expect Meet Your Makers are going to start grouping up soon.
I'm going to be honest, touching on, Hercubot and his ganks, if we think back to the spring split, his early level ganks were incredibly powerful. Pre-20 minutes, he was able to find opportunities and find ways to make kills happen. Right now, he's been unable to replicate that success. Number of vision and sight wards are down in and around the dragon area. MYM are posturing maybe for a fight. SK are a little bit out of position, but the numbers advantage is with MYM. But take a look, there is no teleport and no stand united, so that's very, very crucial if MYM pick a battle.
Yeah, you can see Meet Your Makers starting to get in position. Kubon is trying to cut off Kevin there. Kevin instead has gone back towards the top lane. It does mean they're going to dive in. Hercubot's going to get caught out. He gets hooked. Yeah, I can't use that word, but Makata and Libic, they do manage to make a very successful kill.
Absolutely destroyed, and it all comes down thanks to those visions, thanks to the sight that they had, the ability to actually control the vision in and around the map, land a good charm and hold Hercubot. Dragon goes down, MYM are moving forward, Ocelot's got that command protect on, and MYM, if they get a hook, they're going to go in. SK are thinking about this, and this is brave.
They're thinking about going for it, it's going to be Kevin that goes in there. There's going to be the ball on top of his head. Will it be enough? Chain of Corruption comes out. It could well stop them in their tracks. Whoa. They do manage to get Libic down there, but look at Sharu, he's keeping the aggression down. And Meet Your Makers, well, they get out very, very successfully.
So a good fight there from SK, and it's what we were saying, that MYM is lacking that initiation power. Unless they throw themselves at their enemy, they don't have a clear engagement, whereas an Elise, a Jarvan, a Command Shockwave from Orianna is a great initiation tool and allows them to at least pick up an exit kill. But SK are still 2,000 gold behind. And
apologies, guys, of course, the colorblind mode is not on, nor is the game sound, but that is just an issue that obviously the main PC that we are using to spectate has had issues. So we're just using a backup. It will be fixed, of course, for the next match. As it is, though, we're going to continue on in this game because we don't want to interrupt the players too much. And SK Gaming, they're starting to slowly fall behind here. They did manage to get a kill on that last one, but they need to put some pressure on these turrets.
And they need to actually pick fights. What they did that was very smart after that Dragon engage was jump in, pick up a kill, and then back away safely. They didn't give up anything more. And that's what they're going to need to do to keep themselves in this matchup. Because they have that clear advantage of picking fights, they need to make use of that. If they let MYM come to them, then it's going to be on MYM's terms with Stand United, with teleports, with vision, and they're obviously going to fall behind. We do see in the top lane, Kevin's caught.
Kevin gets hooked. He does manage to repel away, though. Will it be enough? We can see the hook will not be back out. And that was very well played by Kevin then to quickly escape the duo lane of Libic and Makler have now moved themselves in towards that top lane. We do see Makata making his way across. He's just shadow dashed across from the Baron pit. Hercubot was there and he just puts the ward straight on his head.
So he's going to be fully aware that that vision is there, and wisely, because Hercubot was around, it does look like that Makata is recalling up in that top lane. We'll see whether or not Kevin decides to stick around and try to fend off their last outer tower. There are 2 towers behind and a dragon, but it only equates to about 2,000 gold. So SK are still farming well, even though, you know, they've got all this map pressure. Charu is trying to defend this mid turret, takes a lot of damage from Candy Panda.
Yeah, that mid top turret has gone down though. And SK Gaming, they're going to start pushing for this one. But it looks like Meteor Makers might well try and go defensive here. We do see Sharo backing off with the duo lane heading down the river.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. The fact that they got that tower, that means they now have the ability to come down. There's a teleport coming in from the side. Charu's thinking about it. He cancels it, gets 50% of the cooldown back, and it just shows MYM are willing to make plays. They wanted to teleport in, get the charm from behind after, you know, Ari can dash in there very mobile, but instead they decide to back off and say not this time.
Yeah, it's those exact plays that put Meteor Makers in towards the summer season as well against Dragonborns in the promotion playoff. They came back from 2 games behind to take it 3-2, and now Meteor Makers there on the aggression. You can see Libic just off the side. He is stood on top of a ward trying to get those hooks out, so they're well aware that they're going to be coming, and they quickly wave clear.
So very good defensive wards from SK allows them to at least react to that play. You could, you know, posture that if they didn't have vision, they may have been caught out. So I like the fact that even though they're falling back, there's still wards, look, in the river, in the mid lane, that SK are trying to keep some control. The problem is there's waves pushing against their top and their bottom lane. So as they split up to try and deal with the minions, MYM are just going to get free damage on the tower. The hook is caught, Kevin.
The hook is caught in. That's going to be the shockwave. It got towards Makler, quickly flashed out of it there. And we saw there was a Hercubot diving in. Didn't go for the Cataclysm, no. Didn't quite catch him just in the right time. But that does mean that there's going to be 2 ultimates burned for SK.
So the shockwave is down. It's about 1.5 minutes before it'll be available again. But look at the damage that Makler's taking just from the poke there of those volatile spiderlings and the Piltover Peacemaker. So he's dropped low. He doesn't have a Vamp Scepter yet, so his sustain will be, you know, minimal at best. But MYM is not afraid. They are keeping up this pressure. They do see another good hook, and they are going to go in with it, actually.
While this is all happening, the split push is off. Their Chain of Corruption does go off. Kevin gets caught out. The charm comes through. They do put a lot of damage down on him, and the Dark Passage was just used to simply back away. But while this is all happening, we did have Makata split push in the side.
Yeah, MYM had very little communication. I seen the Varus ultimate go out, and my brain was going, that's very strange. They're going to fight now with Shen. Shen didn't come in to Stand United. Nobody from MYM dove in. Then you seen, you know, the charm landing onto Kevin's Elise, and nobody jumped on there. I think MYM are not 100% convinced of what the correct action was, so they did nothing instead. Even though, you know, each landed, oh, now in the middle lane, the taunt is up.
Tell a lie, they're going to flash taunt in there. Ocelot's the target. They're going to go towards him. He should go down. He will go down. It's Sharu that picks up the kill.
So the tower was the only thing that kept MYM back. The only reason MYM didn't throw themselves at that fight, they were afraid to fight under the tower. They caught out Ocelot with no tower, no additional defenses, and they popped him. Now, 5 members of MYM are going to be pressuring this middle lane the moment Varus gets there, and we'll see how well the SK can defend, because at the moment they're falling further behind.
Well, they're falling behind because Makler's just gone, well, I'm going to go farm this top wave. You guys can keep pushing, but I'm off. I'm going to farm. So instead, Meteor Makers do all back away, and SK Gaming, they are back once again in a precarious position. They're looking to maybe try and get in there. There's going to be a shadow dash on towards Kevin. Kubon comes around. He tights up the Rune Prison. Will the hook land? No, it won't. Libic just misses out.
That was very, very close. If that hook had landed, Libic would have been able to pull himself over the wall with the secondary active of that death sentence, but instead, he manages to get to safety. The one thing that you can never, ever discount when you are looking at an Orianna is the power of that shockwave. Think about the alternate attacks victory over Giants, how one shockwave, when it's team was 15,000 gold behind, won them that game and that series, and a berth into the LCS. SK Gaming, if this trend continues, will be hoping to perform similar because at the moment they're behind in practically every metric.
SK Gaming trying to take the dragon here. You can see they've already started off, but the rest of the Meteor Makers are starting to collapse in towards them here. They have to be very careful about how they play this one, and SK rightfully back away. They're not feeling strong enough in the team fights just yet.
No, Kevin was a little late to the party. In addition, MYM have got very good vision if you look at the minimap, but now as SK decide to group up as a 5 and push forward, ooh, the charm is caught on Hercubot.
Oh, it's not really the one they want to get, and he does actually go very aggressive there. The rest of Meteor Makers collapsing in towards him. SK Gaming are going to try and rush this for the tower.
This is a smart move from SK because the Deathfire Grass active was used by Charu. He was anticipating an aggressive play from Hercubot, but instead he backed off. Now the presence of MYM from the side has been enough to save the tower, but that's 2 or 3 auto attacks away from complete, destruction, and that's what SK will be looking to try to pressure here.
Again, it is situation 0, and you can see SK, they want to get back on this dragon, but they don't really feel comfortable enough to start it off, and you can see Meteor Makers, Libic throwing out the hook there, catching it on it. That will actually mean the dragon will get started off, and SK Gaming, they're going for this one, and well, Charu is a long way away. He does have teleport. Will he get used it? I don't think he will, and it looks like SK will secure the dragon.
Very good play from SK Gaming, realizing that they had that opportunity. They knew that they had the numbers advantage. They were clumped up as a tight net 5, and they all had their ultimates available. So if a fight broke out, they had that great initiation burst potential. Instead, it's just going to close that gold gap just a little bit. Teleport is available, as you mentioned, for Charu. So we'll see if he decides to use it. It looks like he is using it onto the enemy blue buff. So we'll see who he's going to catch out. It could just be a split push. That's a very interesting teleport. Oh, it's for Candy Panda. That's why I didn't see him caught up in the bottom. Is the charm going to land?
He does manage to use his ultimate, lands it straight in there, and it just pops him where he stands. No chance at all. And that was an easy pickup for Charu.
Yeah, I apologize for doubting you, Charu. You seen the opportunity. I just couldn't see Candy Panda off to the side of the minimap there, and of course he realized that he could jump in from behind and pick up that kill. Right now, MYM now stacking up in this middle lane, and we'll see if they want to apply pressure or they can just play it slow as they have.
Well, no, with that 20-second death time, they're almost certainly going to push in for this tower. It may well mean the first inner turret of the game will go down. It's Meteor Makers keeping that pressure on, and now it's 4 for 0 in turrets, and SK Gaming, they've really got to get themselves a turret, got to get themselves something to push out from their base, because they are slowly but surely being shoved back in there.
Basically, I really feel like SK needs to pick a fight. They have great synergy when they combo all of their abilities together, and if the fight is going a little bit awry and a little bit strange, you can reset it with the Janna Monsoon, with her ultimate. Kick everyone from MYM out, get rid of Ari, get rid of Rise, and say, this is who we want to focus, and pick off one kill after the other. It's a 4,000 gold deficit, which is not a massive number, but because of how quickly Charu can kill somebody, it becomes a much bigger deficit when they lose a member.
Onslaught continuing his farm. He's got Athene's and Holy Grail complete. So, meanwhile though, Phantom Dancer versus Azeel is the difference between the AD carries. Makler in a much stronger position, despite the fact they've got the same amount of farm. There's just 1 kill apiece, of course. That assist and the fact that all the global objectives with those towers being picked up has given Makler that advantage. And Ace in the Hole was just used out there, trying to get on towards Charu. It was blocked off. It does mean that ulti is not going to be available for a short while. The tower on the bottom lane was being shoved there and starting to work it down again.
So talking about the itemization as well, you can also see that the Negatron Cloak has been picked up by Candy Panda. So not only is he a little bit further behind in terms of damage, he does have a little bit more survivability, and that's because he's facing a double AP comp. With both Rise and Ari, it's a very, very good item pickup, and it'll most likely become a Banshee's Bale at some point later in the matchup. Right now, SK just grouped up to defend this bottom lane turret. Stand United is available, so at a moment's notice, if Mokata does want to join the party to play, he can do so.
They have a big creep wave on that top lane that's going to be pushed in by Mokata, and of course this bottom lane is where Meteor Makers are going to follow this creep wave up. So SK Gaming have to be in a defensive position ready, but they are all well out of position. They're going to have to dash across to try and get over towards this turret, because Meteor Makers are all over it already.
Yeah, by the time SK gets here, this tower's going to be dead. Simply put, they didn't anticipate MYM re-initiating on that tower, and it's because they have no vision. There is no vision down on the bottom half of that map as far as SK Gaming is concerned, so they simply were not aware that MYM had stuck around for that long. So this is what SK needs to work on. They do have that Sightstone sitting in Janna's pockets and going to be trying to get some vision control, but they really need to do a lot more with the wards to prevent that happening.
Charu is going to pick up the blue buff. That's the enemy blue buff, and obviously taking that away from Onslaught's going to lower his cooldown potential. He's fighting hard to keep his team in this one, but SK Gaming, they just seem one step behind every single move that Meteor Makers make.
Yeah, and it's great to see MYM doing this because they have been in complete control of the map. And that's basically what they've been playing. We see that very, very long standoff between 20 and 25 minutes in the mid lane where MYM were so clearly chomping at the bit for a fight, but they just weren't comfortable doing it while the turret was there. And the moment they caught SK a little bit out of position with no turret to fall back on, they just dove in for the engagement. And seeing Charu, for example, use that teleport to pick up a kill on Candy Panda, they're willing to make brave, big plays. And if it keeps up, they're looking set to win their first match of the LCS.
SK wanted to try and push and get their first turret. There's 5 of them all grouped up, and they're just wondering, what are we going to do about this problem? And it's the split push problem. This is a problem that they faced against Fnatic many, many, many times. And every time it doesn't work out, unfortunately, for SK. Are they slowly but surely falling into the same trap?
Well, that's the problem. You fall behind, and then if you cannot deal with the split push and fight the 4v4, then you do get in trouble. The hook has landed. They've gone Ocelot.
They've gone into that chain of corruption, lands on everyone. That's going to be a great shockwave, though. And the Cataclysm comes straight back in on top of it. Sharu does take down Niv very quickly. Candy Panda manages to get one down, but it's 2 kills already for Sharu.
Charu is insane with those charms. He's landed them time after time, and the number of epic level ultimates there was massive. Stand United was channeled, but the target was killed before Shen could arrive. And if Mokate had actually arrived at the party, at the fight, that taunt could have made it even worse. So a 2-for-1 trade in which MYM are victorious thanks to an amazing closing charm there from Charu.
Well, Meteor Makers thinking about pushing this one through, but I don't really think they've got enough of an advantage to try and take it through, and wisely, the brothers of Makata and Makler do back away from that mid lane. So
they do just, shove the wave, pick up the farm, and then back away safely as quickly as they can. We do have another very brief pause, which we can only apologize about. Right now, 5,000 gold is the advantage that MYM have. They're in the driving seat. It's up to SK to respond.
Absolutely. 7-2 up in kills. It's a 5-0 turrets. It is a big, big difference. And all of the vision taken away from SK Gaming now is really causing a problem, because that's why Meteor Makers are quite happily to maneuver around the map. But if I look at the minimap now, SK have just put out a bunch of wards. But the problem is that Libic, I believe, has just gone back and got himself that Oracle. So he's just going to come straight back in and clear it out.
Basically, this entire game has been determined by vision control. Because MYM have simply had better vision of the map, they have been able to make smarter decisions, push towers, pick up kills where maybe if SK had better vision, they could have avoided. So right now, we do see that Meteor Makers are going to slowly start pushing these waves again, and it's just going to be the split push battle until probably Stand United is available again.
I lied, he hasn't got an Oracle. I lied. I thought that's what he was going to go back and buy. Instead, he got double Ruby Crystals.
He really wants to be beefy. That's a pretty high HP.
Beefy Libic, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's a 2,800 hit points thresh. So, this is the one weakness MYM have. And I've used the word, and I'm going to say it again. Libic has to throw himself at the enemy. And basically, that's what his HP is for. He's pretty much just going to say, look, I'm going to soak up as much as I can. I'm going to get the defensive stats from that Runic Bulwark, which will make my effective HP even greater, plus the shield that he's got from that Dark Passage. So he's literally their be-all and end-all when it comes to a 5v5 engagement, unless, of course, a good charm gets caught out or, a good flash taunt from the cut.
Oh, we see that actually Cubon's a long way away from this fight, and that's going to be the first turret picked up by SK Gaming there. They are slowly clawing themselves, keeping themselves in it. Oh, double wards place, that's never a good sign, though. Miscommunications there. It's a 5,000 gold difference, though, between these teams. And finally, they did actually catch Meteor Makers just slightly out of position. So
that's a much-needed confidence boost for SK number 1, because they're now going to have a little bit more freedom in the middle of the map. But more importantly, it's going to allow SK a little bit more control and entry into the MYM jungle. If they're feeling brave enough to get vision down, like you can see MYM doing now, MYM, they know there's no towers. They know they've got an advantage. So they basically just walk up and say, I'm going to ward. Now with that middle tower down, SK have the opportunity to do something similar if they stay grouped.
See the Oracle battles going out, the ward clearing continuing, but the bottom lane is going to get shoved in by Sharu. The mid lane, as you can see, being worked on by that duo lane. The top lane was also pushed in by Kubon. So Meteor Makers pushing every single lane right now, seeing what advantage they can gain. They have lost a lot of wards in there because Niv's just cleared out a whole bunch of them, but they are stacked, ready and waiting around that blue buff.
And on top of that, look at Mokate's itemization. Not only have they got this vision control and, the elixir control, etc., Mokate's gone for distortion boots. So the flash taunts, literally again, just really signaling where their initiations come from. So basically, when you're looking at an engagement or a situation like this, your eye should only be on Makata and Libic, because if they are a little bit ahead, as they were there for a few seconds, they're the ones that are going to start the fight. Candy Panda channels that ace in the hole, but it didn't really accomplish all that much.
No, but I'm looking at Sharu, seeing where he's maybe trying to position himself across. You can see he's taking a little poke at Kevin, seeing if he can get towards him. Not really the target he wants to go for, though. Meteor Maker's kind of lost in this jungle, and the question is, are SK Gaming going to go investigating?
SK are thinking about it. They have some vision, which is making them feel a little bit braver than maybe they should. Blue buff is up. They're going to try battle. There's the death, and they've got Candy!
The hook comes in, and he's going to dive straight on it. He doesn't manage to get him, though. Now it's going to be the box going down. SK Gaming can turn this one around. The Kata does go down, but it's going to be Niv that picks up the kill. Unfortunately, Kevin goes very aggressive in there. How have they got the damage? They can't seem to get on the position. They have not really got the vision or the positioning to get this fight going, and it's Makler that picks up the double kill.
So they trade 2 for 2, and Charu, another fantastic charm in that engagement, allows them to secure yet another exit kill as the fight plays out. Candy Panda with a very good cleanse. He actually counteracted that secondary pull of Thresh, and then when Thresh followed in, he pulled Thresh into the middle of his entire team. The problem was, the box then surrounded every single member of SK, and they were trapped inside the box, allowing all of the, the splash damage from Ryze and from Uri to stack up.
Sharu is not done yet. He's still hanging around there. There is that ward from SK in there, though, so they have got vision of him. They're not going to walk so blindly in, but Charu really wants to get back on Candy Panda again.
Yeah, and he can. I mean, his Deathfire Grasp is going to be available, actually is available. He does have his ultimate up as well with that blue buff, and you're just seeing, he's just going, well, look, I'm going to throw out a charm. If I get caught, I have 3, I have a hop, skip, and a jump from my ultimate to get to safety, and he can afford to play with fire effectively.
So 9-4 currently, Meteor Makers. Not gone 100% their way, but definitely is looking like they are in a strong driving seat right now. 5,000 gold difference. You do see Meteor Makers clearing out around that Baron ward and actually thinking of going for this one.
So they've started this one off because they realize they have vision control. They're going to see Hercubot sneaking up, and they may decide to actually pick a fight with Hercubot. We'll see how this pans out. I think smartly MYM decides to back away a little bit. Some split decision making, but they're basically saying we're not 100% convinced about this engagement. The rest of SK are slowly starting to group up, and they could actually contest this. MYM may try to set up a death bush bait here.
Sharu is definitely trying to set himself a death bush bait in the bottom lane, but this top lane area is around the Baron. It's where Ocelot's not having any of it. He's sticking around, he's got that ball out, keeping vision. He can see that Makler's not there, so he realizes they're not starting out the Baron, but Sharu is on the inhibitor turret right now in that bottom lane. He's continuing to keep the pressure in. Nif is the only person there. Now Kevin's going to close the gap. He's going to come around, not going to land that cocoon, but Sharu has to use his ultimate to get away, and that means Meteor Makers, they're going to turn back in towards the Baron. The hook lands up towards Hercubot. Are they going to follow up on it? No, they're not. And the rest of SK Gaming racing to get in it, but again, they are going to peel away from the Baron.
So Baron is a very risky play for MYM because it's going to take them a long time to burst it down. Varus is their only real consistent damage source. Ryze can help, but they're not the quickest team. SK are grouped up as 5 now against MYM. They've gone in!
They're going aggressive because Sharu is not there, simply put. He's taking the inhibitor turret down, though, so they have to get something from this. Will it be anything? They're going to try and get in there, but the Chain of Corruption hits all of them once again. Makata's the only man to go down, but they're going to lose an inhibitor for one person. That's simply not worth it. Meteor Makers, again, tactically outplay them.
SK have not fully committed to this recall, though 4 of them, they've stuck around, they've stuck on Baron. MYM are now moving into position. There is no Shen for 35 seconds. Teleport is up for Charu. They've called Lipic out. Are they going to get the Baron? Let's see if another fight's going to break out from MYM.
I'm keeping my eye on that teleport. You can see the Baron is almost going to go down. There it is. It's going to be Hercubot that closes it out. Kubon gets caught on. The hook comes out from Lipic, but they're not going to follow it through, but the Nexus turret will go down in a moment. That is going to be Candy Panda picking up the kill, but there is one of the Nexus turrets going down now. And Sharu has finally decided to back away. Lipic will go down, but now SK Gaming with a 5-man team with the Baron. Kevin's gone back. They could push a lot of objectives
The
here.
problem is they are so far back, they have only 1 outer turret picked up. In order to push, in order to take advantage of these death timers, they have to start all the way at the first turret. They're going to do the best they can to chunk this tower down. Once Candy Panda gets there, it's going to help a lot. And you can see defensive duties of both Hercubot and Kevin. They're holding the fort. They're going to defend against those super minions and a potential Charu Expect it.
Yeah, everybody backs away from SK Gaming, so they're going to spend a lot of that money they just earned, taking down the Baron, picking up those kills. Has definitely closed the gap. You can see it's just 2,500 stacked between the two teams now, so closing half of the gap already just from that little bit of play. But they do have one Nexus turret down. The bottom lane is exposed, and those super minions pushing against them. That's why we see Kevin down in that bottom lane. He's starting to clear that out. He's got himself the Ryla's Crystal Scepter, though, along with that Abyssal Scepter, so definitely got a lot more hit points, a lot of ability power, and a lot of magic penetration as well. So he's going to start doing problems for them. Meanwhile, look at the two mid laners. Both closing in on 400 CS.
Yeah, massive numbers. It's just the mechanical skill that these guys have is fantastic. And with the split pushing that Charu's doing, he's actually pulled a little bit further ahead. Look at SK now. They realize they've got this, power play position where they have the Baron buff up.
Teleport.
And they're going to try put pressure on this bottom tower. Teleports on the bottom. You can see Charu. There's the home guard. He's running in. Look for the charm.
They're going for Candy Panda. We see the chain of corruption just missing there. Charu's going to try and dive in. It's Candy Panda he wants to get onto. The damage on Ocelot is pretty big. They're going to close in. They're going to get the Shadow Dash across. Ocelot doesn't get the shockwave off. This could be tragic for SK Gaming. They're going to dive in, but I'm not sure they've got the power to take it. It's going to be Hercubot. He's taken very low. Kevin's getting poked down as well. Makata may well be the next focus. There goes Candy Panda. He gets caught out. Now it's going to be Nip. Nip will get dropped down as well. That's a double kill picked up for Charu. Kevin's also getting focused on. That is another one down. And just like that, Meet Your Makers turning back around.
Makata managing to join the party with Stand United. I think he got a 4-man Shadow Dash taunt there across the members of SK. And so crucially, Ocelot was popped before the shockwave landed. There are 40 seconds on the clock. This is enough time for Makla, Makata, and Libic to finish this one out. They are tanky. There is only one turret to face check. Are they going to do it? That's the question. They need to get through Hercubot. It is a 1 versus 3 situation, and this is a difficult one to defend.
Surely no problem for them. Makla just working down that Nexus turret. That's going to get dropped down. Hercubot's left on his own. I don't think they're even worried about it. They're just going to go straight for that Nexus, and it will be Meet Your Makers picking up their first win in their first match of the summer LCS.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a game. 8-1-5 from Charu, the only